Hi, John Dickson here from the Centre for Public Christianity. How do Christians cope with this chorus of scepticism at the moment from the nouveau atheists? Well, I think in two ways. Some adopt what you might call the accommodating stance. They retreat from the traditional claims of Christianity and opt for a spiritualised version of the message. Jesus is not so much the crucified, risen Saviour as the pious sage whose wisdom touches the soul. Actually, this is a very old tradition going back to the Gnostics of the 2nd and 3rd centuries. They produced what you might call counter-gospels, in which Jesus is stripped of his historical particularity as a Jewish prophet, healer and martyr, and is recast as a transcendent figure whose teaching unites us to the divine. Such a Jesus is unassailable to the historical doubters because his actual history is irrelevant. Curiously, you're more likely to find this figure in an Easter sermon of a mainline church than in an ancient history lecture in a university. It might be questionable theology, but it is even worse history. Other Christians take an entirely different route. Offended by the caustic criticisms of the nouveau atheists and disdainful of the accommodating strategy of the Christian liberals, some attempt to defend every historical detail in the gospel record. In the last 30 years, quite an industry has developed dedicated to confirming the entire Jesus story from virgin birth to heavenly ascension. Apologetics, as it's usually called, fills many a wall in the Christian bookshops of the world. It's a mixed bag, if I'm honest. Some of it is measured and well-informed. Some of it makes the historian, especially the Christian historian, cringe. I don't know how many times I've heard well-meaning believers say things like, "There's more evidence for Jesus Christ than for Julius Caesar." The statement is based on the observation that Caesar's Wars, the book he wrote, has survived in just 10 ancient manuscript copies, whereas the New Testament has survived in several thousand. Now that sounds impressive, but it's actually misleading. The huge number of New Testament manuscripts does help scholars reconstruct what was in the original text, but it tells us nothing about whether the reported events were accurately recorded in the first place. A well-preserved mistake is still a mistake. In any case, the existence of Julius Caesar is confirmed by independent inscriptions and coins, things not normally granted to Galilean carpenters. Frankly, Christian apologetics is sometimes the mirror image of atheist apologetics. It's marked by rhetoric and overstatement, rather than responsible scholarship. But more on this in the next instalment.